Hi, Gemini. I almost called you Geminoodle. We're going to do a tarot card reading. I don't know what the topic is about. It could be finances. It could be career. Could be love, relationships, family, travel, whatever it's about. We're going to shuffle it together and find out together. And I'm going to give you an overhead view of these cards, but we're going to zoom in when we need so you can get nice close-up depictions of what are going on in this, of what is going on in this reading. I don't know who this reading is for, but whoever it's for, I hope it makes it to you. Also, my name's Lindsay. I do Gnostic tarot reading, which means I like to merge history, biology, science, spirituality all into one, and through the lens of Gnosticism. If you don't know what Gnosticism is, it is groups of people who were persecuted in the Middle Ages and their understanding of symbolic archetypes of human existence, which basically means the phases of life that humans can go through, because we all go through phases in similar ways. We all learn to speak, we all learn to love, we learn, how to build, etc., etc. But most particularly because this gentleman here, he made the original deck, the OG deck that most people read when they read tarot. It's called the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And he created it in the 1900s. In 1910, he wrote an instruction booklet, this one right here. It's so beautiful. Again, let's give it a little bit of ooh and ah for a second here. And in this book, he had mentioned, most people miss this though, that the tarot could be best perceived through the lens of what was called the Albigensians. And the Albigensians, again, they were persecuted in and around 1200 for believing that the God of the Old Testament was not the favorable God. That is not to say that they didn't value the God of the Old Testament. It's a long story. We'll get into it, probably touching on some things here and there while I read this, because when I do these readings, I also tend to insert random fun facts or random facts that pertain to you. Okay. With that being said, let's get into it. Let's talk about the patterns here. What patterns, what do I see? What do I see going on for a second? The clouds just came over. I'm going to turn the light on for a moment because it's a little gloomy in here. Okay, there we go. All right, see? Voila, a little bit of light. Okay, let's see what's going on. The first thing that I notice in this reading is the Hermit card is here in the reversal position. The Hermit card it's supposed to be a path that you go on that brings you to a better state of being. Like a path that really means something to you, something that's really important to you that you want to bring into your life. Usually in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the Hermit is holding a lamp. And he uses that lamp to be able to illuminate the path in front of him. But inside of the lamp is a star. And the star represents the hopes and the dreams that you have. Each one of you are going to be different. You have your own hopes. You have your own dreams. Some people have the hope for driving in a Lambo. Other people have the hope for having a family and living a life out on the hills, right? Don't mind I project that myself, of course, a little bit, but you get the gist of it. Some people have the white picket fence dream. Whatever your dream is, whether it's to, be successful in money or to have a family or to pass a certain element of your career, the light of the star that the Hermit is holding, and it's not in this deck, but in this deck, the light is the unicorn's horn. That light of your dreams is guiding the way forward for you. That's how dreams work, okay? That's how intention works. It doesn't matter if we're talking about spirituality or if we're talking about the science of the human mind when it believes something. If you believe something, oftentimes that belief system will light the way to where you want to go. What you believe is possible, and then you follow that thing, right? You want to be a good mother. I'm speaking from experience. You have a belief in your mind about what you think it looks like when a person is a good mother, and you use that belief to guide you into how to be a good mother. Or if you want to be a philanthropist for a job, you drum up a belief in your head about what that looks like and you let it lead you. You get the gist of it, right? But here's the odd thing. You received the card in the reversal position, which means for some reason you have a resistance. You're resistant towards doing something that your heart is calling you for. That could be, you could be called to change a path of yours, change a job. You could be called to level something up. Maybe you're being like when I say called to, I mean like there's a yearning inside of your heart to do something. Maybe it's to be an artist. Whatever it is, for some reason, there may be a side of you that's almost wanting to push back on that. And I say that also because the card directly next to it is Four of Cups card that can reflect stubborn energy, not wanting to move or change something. You might be the kind of person who resists certain paths in life, or you might know somebody. Perhaps this is somebody that you know. Because of course, if you've never been to a tarot reading before, sometimes the energy is talking about you, and you'll be able to tell if this sounds like you, then we're talking about you. But if you've been, hanging out with a friend and you're like, oh my gosh, this friend is so stubborn, they're so resistant, then that might be why you were led to a particular tarot reading. It might be about somebody that you know. But in this case, again, the Four of Cups is that idea of being like kind of stuck like a lump on a log, stubborn. Not that you want to be stubborn, but the Four of Cups is like a situation that you're in almost kind of gives you a headache. So when you're dealing with life in a situation that feels like it's giving you a damn headache, you become more resistant to other aspects of life. Usually that happens because you don't see the answer on how to you can't quite see the light on how to go to a certain path because you're so focused on all of the other things. Focused on the bills, focused on the money, focused on the job, focused on the career. It's like that. You know what I also notice in the energy of these cards with the Seven of Cups and the Four of Cups, if you look closely, both of them look like they're operating from a position of having their eyes closed. They are trying, like the Magician, you or the person that you know, is trying to drum up or manifest. See, he looks like he's got his hands over a cauldron and he's doing magic in this picture, right? He's trying to create something like a magician, the metaphoric magician of your life. But doing it with your eyes closed becomes a little bit difficult, doesn't it? When you can't see necessarily the path in front of you, it might feel like you're trying to go nowhere fast sometimes. And it can give you a little bit of a headache. You're trying to get things done. You want forward progress, but for some reason your eyes are closed to the situation. You don't necessarily know all of the steps that are going to be involved in bringing something into your life. What I do like, though, is that you have the Sun card here, and the Sun card is the best omen in tarot. It means the path is going to very quickly at some point, very swiftly, almost come right under your feet and bring you on the ride to the path that you want to go onto. That's what's happening in this depiction. It's very quick, ta-da moments. What was not seen suddenly becomes so bright that you realize the answer is right there. And then you get to act on it. I do think that when we're looking at Temperance card energy here in the reversal, two things come to mind is that it may take a matter of time for you to get your footing on the path or have the answers come to you. But it might actually be happening because there's almost like an emotional or grounded disturbance happening within you. What I mean by that is, again, the Temperance card in this image is when a person has to take things really slow and really delicate so that they don't cut themselves, like the gentleman in this picture, slowly carving away at things so that the path, notice I use the word carving, right? Slowly carving away things so that the path can reveal itself like water that passes through carving a stone. It's a slow process, but eventually the carving reveals the other side of the stone or makes its way through the stone. but there may be something inside of you that feels ungrounded because you want the answer quicker than it's going to happen. Or you've been on this path, even trying to carve this out for quite a lengthy period of time. And in the original Rider-Waite deck, it's the depiction of an angel that's holding 2 cups in the hands of the angel, and they're pouring water from one cup to the next. I wonder if I've got some of my other decks here, so I might be able to quickly find that image for you, because you'll see what I mean by it. Because if you were to imagine the need to slowly carve what this gentleman has here in his hand, or holding cups of water and having to pour them back and forth without making things spill or without cutting yourself, then you realize how still and delicate and balanced you have to be to do those kind of things. But in a world where we want to be kind of fast-paced, we want the answers now, we have a tendency to spill things. It's a message to be okay with the slowed down process with what you're doing, whether that's your job. Here it is, right? See what they're doing? Whether that's your job, sometimes a mountain that you have to climb in life, or whether that's your romantic life, or whether that's your career, whether it's the house that you're trying to buy in the future, sometimes it is a slow progress to climb a mountain to get to the top of those clear skies of the successful goal of your life. It takes time, right? Another thing that I see in the cards is the 5 of Wands energy and the Page of Swords in the reversal. The Page of Swords it's a depiction, if you imagine a child holding a sword. Would the child be good at swinging the sword around, or is he going to cut something? This is the second time we have this energy of the idea of somebody whose thoughts, the swords represent your thoughts, right? That's why I said with the Temperance card, it needs steady groundedness, because it's your thoughts that are swaying so quickly. Your brain is like in overdrive mode, and the Page of Swords has the same energy. It's like, again, if a child was holding a sword, they can't wield the sword properly until they master the sword. And that's like your thoughts. You can't wield your thoughts properly until you know how to master the processing of your own thoughts in and out, right? So we're kind of doubling down on that energy, that this difficulty that you have, this resistance that you have in opening up a certain path for you, isn't just happening because you can't just see the path. A part of you feels like you can't see the path, so you don't follow what's in your heart necessarily, or follow that hope and that dream, but it's also because your brain feels like it's on overload. If I was doing a reading with you and I was like, oh, this person is really grounded, everything's running very smoothly for them, they're making, shit tons of money, yada, 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 this wouldn't be your reading. This is the kind of reading that comes up when somebody's brain is scattered and having difficulty to some degree carving the path for themselves because their brain is swaying around so much. It's like difficulty focusing. But as much as we're talking about that, please remember that the cards that you have already is that the path is going to open for you, which means your thoughts are actually going to settle themselves. I also want to mention that a lot of the times when a person's thoughts get scattered and they haven't mastered the thought process of what's going on internally and like balancing their own quick thoughts out, it's because there's too much stress involved. I mean, it's because the brain gets quicker when people are stressed out about things, which is why it's also somewhat of a necessity sometimes to make sure you have that downtime for yourself to do the things like the hermit that light you up. Being in the presence of the thing that makes you happy, the thing that makes you smile, will also calm your brain down and allow you to just breathe for a bit. And then you might realize that sometimes it's not just what's in you that's causing the problem of this overthinking, but it's also the things that are on the outside that will affect you. That's also why in the Temperance card, in the deck that I had shown you a moment ago, the woman in traditional Rider-Waite-Smith symbology, has 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on the ground. That means one half of you has to be in your emotional world, making sure that you're emotionally steady, and the other half of you has to deal with the dance or the tango of the fact that the outside world is going to impact you. It's the nature of humanity. That's why, like, these cards, I know people look at these cards as, like, you know, hoodoo type-ish, not hoodoo literally, but I mean like heebie-jeebie type of woo-woo energy spirituality. But there's a reason why so many of the famous, successful, historically impactful people, like the founding father of all of psychology, Carl Jung, was into tarot, is because tarot tells the story of how humans interact with one another. Even if you're not doing readings about fortune telling and like, are you going to win the lottery? On a foundational level, it describes the story of human experience, and humans are going to tango with the outside world while they tango with the inside world. They have to be able to master that. You're not just mastering your own thoughts. It's like a trifecta that you're mastering at the exact same time. Outer world, inner world of emotions, and mind, body, spirit, right? Okay, so we've described the situation for long enough. Let's talk about how the hell the answer is going to come out here, because that's the thing with all of this. Scattered brain, okay, answer's coming to you. Okay, there's something you want to do that you're kind of resistant, but you can hear it calling. All right, sure, that's cool. What are you going to do about it? That's the point now. Now here's where we get into the territory of, you know, fortune telling, you could say. In my opinion, and in the opinion of thousands of esotericists and members of occult traditions, including Arthur Edward Waite, this is not fortune telling, but what this is called standing at the gates. There's a phrase that Arthur Edward Waite used in the 1900s where he said that reading tarot means that you are standing at the outermost gates. That is a person who is receiving blips of information or gnosis from their intuitive self. And in science, we call that tapping into the quantum field. Basically put, all of existence is one gigantic quantum field manifesting itself. Let me put it in another, like I said, science and history sometimes merge themselves in my readings. Okay, look at sound, all right? Sound is, I was just saying this the other day, sound is a vibration of wavelength. You can either speed it up or slow it down. It's all the same wavelength, but if you speed it up, you get an A note, or if you slow it down, you get a G note, whatever the case is. It's the same one band, though. It's the same one string on a guitar. But in order for sound to in order for sound to create sound, it has to bump into the 3D world of matter. It bumps into air, it bumps into water. In fact, you can't get sound without a medium. You can't get sound without air or water. But light, same thing. One wavelength, you either speed it up or slow it down and you get the color red or you get the color green. But the cool thing about light is light needs no medium. It doesn't need air. It doesn't need sound. Light is the field vibrating. Sound is when vibration happens when it bumps into things. Light is the field vibrating, right? Every blip of light that you see, every photon that you see is the one field choosing to vibrate in a certain way. So if we're all connected on one field, then there is the likelihood of the universal consciousness that people have been talking about for millennia. And that's what we're tapping into when we talk about this, all right? We're basically using tarot to manipulate a concept of metaphysics and quantum field theory, because each card has a bunch of colors on it that relays certain information. In this case, you have the Magician in the reversal, the 9 of Coins in the reversal, and the 5 of Cups in the reversal. This is wild to me. It's wild because essentially what it means is change the path that you're on and go back to something that you once loved to do. 5 of Cups. You want, like, the answer to what you're doing is to follow parts of your calling, right? Sorry about my absolutely atrocious mom nails. The 5 of Cups, when it's in the upright, it's a person who's very frustrated over the loss, right? The loss of what they're dealing with. That's why there's a bunch of spilled cups on the ground. But see, there are 2 cups there. This person has to realize, or you would have to realize, you still have the capability to go after what it is that you want. It's right in front of you. You're just choosing to look in a different direction. You're choosing to look in a different direction because the Magician card is in the reversal. And when the Magician card comes in the reversal, they're trying to control too much of a situation. Internally, they become a little too controlling. It's not to say that you're a control Nazi. I'm not trying to say that. I'm saying that when we try to bring things into our life, whether it's our house or our money, we can get auto-focused on one thing and throw the rest of it away because we're so focused on getting the one thing and doing it right that we don't think there's room for anything else. But there is room. This thing that you're being called to, there is room to do that according to these cards. But most importantly, the 9 of Pentacles is also here in the reversal. And the 9 of Pentacles is the card of gaining a lot of abundance if you follow the correct path. It's the reap what you sow energy. That means if you put all of your efforts into something that you over control, then maybe only 60% of the benefit's going to come in, and you're going to be annoyed that 40% of it went out the window, especially when it's in the reversal. So if you have a certain job, a certain career, a certain path, these are Pentacles energies, right? If a household thing, a hobby, or a project, and your heart is not fully in it, then you will reap that benefit of not having the fully geared for results. If you fully put yourself into something that you're called to, then you do end up with a bunch of abundance coming. But in this case, it looks like there's some frustration for you because you're being called to changing something up, especially if it relates to creative capabilities, because we had a lot of Wands energy. That's the things you create with your hands, you do with your time, and Pentacles energy, which is the things you create abundance with, the things that show up in the 3-dimensional world for you, your job, your money, your career, right? That does not mean, by the way, that you have to give everything up. That doesn't mean that you just need to stop the path that you're doing right now. It just means that you can incorporate other things if you want, little by little, or you can follow the path of the 10 of Wands energy, is you can put some parts down and go pick them back up later. People look at the card of the 10 of Wands, which is a person carrying a huge bundle of sticks that's way too heavy. That's what it looks like on the front of that card. And people, when they interpret that card, they think that you should just put all of it down. When people get overloaded, like when their brain is too scattered, is too heavy, they have a tendency to just want to throw everything on the ground and be like, I'm stopping right now. Like, hold up, right? They give up. This is not the calling to give up on what you want. It's to remember that when things get too heavy, you can put some things down. And it also doesn't mean you're putting it down permanently. Just because you have to put something down for a little while doesn't mean, especially if it's meant for you, it doesn't mean that it's not going to come back around at another point. And that's the purpose of the 5 of Cups. You think you might have put something down, it's actually still available to you. You just have to pick it up at the right time when you're not so overloaded, okay? Whether that's a thing, job, money. I want you to also remember that Pentacles is the thing that shows up in the 3-dimensional world on the outside of you that you value. Some people value money. Sure, then money will show up, right? That's what they'll be dealing with. Some people value houses, all right? Other people value love. Whatever it is you came into this reading for, that you keep saying inside of your intuition, like inside of your head, it keeps popping up. Like, yeah, I want to do that thing. Yeah, I want to do that thing. That includes if you want to go a certain place or if you want to be with a certain person. This is a Cups energy. That means it's heartfelt, merged with the 3-dimensional world, the Pentacles. So the thing that lights you up, the thing, the job, the person, the travel vacation, that thing is still available for you. That's what I'm telling you in this reading. That's the whole purpose of this reading. And with that being said, I'm going to leave you off with that. I wish you many blessings and lots of happiness. And if you want a private reading, you're more than welcome to check out the link in the description below or at the link at the top of any of my bios. I do same-day readings for $20, so they're nice and easy access, and I send them back to you in the same 24 hours that you order them. Or we can do monthly readings. I've got that too. Or if you just want to chat and you don't want to get a reading, I'm a chatty person. Quite frankly, I live in a house of kids. it would be nice to have some adult conversation. So if you ever want to chat, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. That's where I'm at most of the time. All right. Talk to you guys later. Ciao for now.